So the subject that keeps coming back like a boomerang, Shamima Begum. This was the woman, or the girl I should say, that left. Apparently she was coerced, she was groomed, she was, call it what you like. Apparently at one point she was a very normal child, but anyway, there were people who were sympathetic to the ISIS cause that allegedly groomed her and then helped her to leave this country to go and fight on behalf of ISIS. Now, she was party to some of the most heinous acts going. That's where one person's head leaves their shoulders, apparently more than once. But apparently she's all changed now as well, and she wants to come back. Now, there's been a few cases prior to this where entry back into the UK has been, well, declined, basically. But no, they're still going to go ahead. Now, I want to show you some footage from a programme just lately, where you've got two women arguing the toss over this. One very, very based, and the other completely woke, pushing a narrative, an agenda. And it was nice to see how she pushed it at the end. So wait for the end clip and see what you think.
I don't feel much sympathy for Shamima, regardless of this new line of argument from her defence lawyers. They have gone through a number of different excuses for her. Firstly, of course, the British citizenship that she has, of course. Is she our problem? Can we just make her stateless? That was their first thing that they had, and Sajid David, of course, decided to strip her of her British citizenship. Then they went on the line that she didn't know what she was doing, she was only 15, etc., etc. Now it's the trafficking. Now, when you listen to the MI5, when you listen to the security intelligence officers, they say that they find it inconceivable that she would not have known that she was going to essentially join a death cult. At that time, we must remember that Islamic State was everywhere across our media. The beheadings of journalists, the genocide, essentially, of Shia Muslims, Yazidis, and also Christians in the area. She knew what she was joining. So, no, my sympathy towards her has not grown as a result of this new defence line.
But what is it about Shamima Begum that makes you feel no sympathy? Because you would feel sympathy for any other 15-year-old that was groomed for sexual exploitation.
What a disingenuous question. If you imagine Shamima Begum was brought up in a family that understood fully about that sort of stuff, and they would have talked about it for years, about the history of the struggle within Islam, the different sects set up within Islam, and the caliphate that happens and that comes from Islam. So she wouldn't have been stupid to that. To suggest that, say for instance, a naive young white girl in Rotherham, who then gets groomed slowly but surely, right, through no fault of their own, could be responsible for their own rape, or know that it was going to happen, and or that we shouldn't feel sympathy for them, is frankly sick and disingenuous. But wait for the comeback that this woman, she's very good.
Well, because I don't believe that she was. I believe that she chose to go over there, and that's what the security officials are saying, that it was very much her own agency. And I wonder why we wish to forgive her rather than look at the stone-cold evidence that she was an A-star student, apparently. She knew what she was doing. It was all over the media what was going on. She then wanted to return once the caliphate had failed, once the state had failed. And of course, I understand why she'd want to return to Britain, as compared to being left over there. Of course I do. But I do think that if the security services think that she remains a national security threat, then that's the case.
But Marina, can you make a fully formed decision at the age of 15?
We don't want her back. It is very simple. The British people don't want that kind of person back in the country. But here's the thought. Has she actually shown any genuine and abject remorse? No, I don't think so. I don't think that she's actually sad the fact that she went over there. In fact, I think she's sad the fact that she was on the losing team. I wonder this. If it's, say, for instance, the shoe was on the other foot, and say, for instance, she was on the winning side, and we were asking for her forgiveness, do you think we get it? Now, this other woman, the brunette, not very genuine at all, because she's simply saying, can you make a fully formed decision at the age of 15? But of course you can. You can at 3 now, didn't you know? You can go through sexual reassignment, and that's fine because you know exactly what you want at 3. So surely if you know about the rest of your life and what sexual gender you want to be for the rest of your life, you must surely know exactly what you're doing when you go off to join a terrorist cult.
No, this is my point. So at 15, you're deemed not old enough to vote because you don't know what you're doing.
So this does one or two things. This either backs up my argument saying that kids are too stupid to understand what they need to do about their bits until they're a lot older, or kids do know what they're doing and therefore That kind of dissuades what the pretty blonde thing here is saying. As they say, can't be expected to look decorative and think, hey, sweet pea. But nevertheless, we'll get on with the rest of this because there is a good part at the end of it.
I just think if Shamima were a 15-year-old white girl with blue eyes who had been groomed in this way, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, while you're still trying to be woke, you pull the race card. What you're saying is if it had been a white girl who had have been a white girl, blue eyes, blonde hair is the way you put it, had been groomed by Islam, we wouldn't have this problem. No, we wouldn't. Or at least you wouldn't. But let's say for the reasons why. I don't think there's been many girls from this country that are white that were groomed by Islam for the use of terrorism. No, it was a lot more basic instinct that they were groomed for. These girls were taken in, and as naive as they would end up being groomed and used as sex slaves. Some of them disappeared, incidentally, but that probably doesn't matter to you at all because you're quite safe there in your own little bubble, aren't you? No. If you were actually to talk about a topic about white girls getting groomed by Islam for the real reasons, you'd be shut down quicker than you could say, how's your father? So thanks for the disingenuous race card that you pulled, but you failed miserably. Anyway, I'm done now. I think I've had enough of editing for tonight, and I'll see you soon.